We are live. Welcome back to our Friday night live streams. We do this every single week if you're new here, and I'll be inviting on my team of carnivore coaches and doctors in a minute. But today's topic is very highly requested. It's all about fat to protein ratio. I know it's such a daunting and confusing concept. A lot of you guys have no idea what it even means. So I'm going to open up with this theme, and I expect you all to also share your experiences in the comments and live chat. Before I get started, just let me know where you're all located. I would love to know how international our community is tonight. I am in Seattle. Tomorrow I'm going to the Seattle meetup hosted by Healing Humanity and Dr. Kiltz. And then I'm going back to Los Angeles. Let me know where you are. Fat to protein ratio. What worked for me? I'd love to share my experience first. And then I'm going to share what I see in the community over and over and over again. I started off my carnivore diet with a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio. 2-to-1 as in the 2 is fat, the 1 is protein. So let's say I ate, for those who like numbers, I ate 120 grams of protein per day. That means I was eating 240 grams of fat per day to offset and double it. So that would make 2-to-1 fat to protein. I often get asked, well, how do you know how much fat to eat? Step number 1. First, eat as much fat as your body craves for. Let's say your body is craving for fatty ground beef with some cold butter on top. That's a beautiful start. And then if you want to work your way up to a higher fat ratio, like 2-to-1, I recommend increasing the amount of fat 1 tablespoon at a time. Not dramatically, not overnight from wherever you started suddenly to 2-to-1. Why? Because you're going to get diarrhea. You're going to get loose stools. You're going to get indigestion, nausea, even heartburn maybe. And you're not going to give your body the chance to acclimate and adjust. So for me though, I started off 2-to-1. Was that a good idea? Probably not, because before I went carnivore, I was also vegan for 6 years. I was probably starting from barely any fat, like a 0% fat, 0 grams of fat. Okay, because I was eating high carb, moderate protein, very low fat. That's why I had weeks and weeks and weeks of explosive diarrhea. Sorry to be TMI. I want you guys to experience the magic and benefits of a high fat, whether it's 2-to-1, 1.5-to-1, or just 1-to-1. I want you guys to experience the magic of what a high fat carnivore diet can do to you by easing into it slowly. So I'm going to bring on my first guest. He's going to share his experience with playing around with upping the fats, maybe lowering the fats, also going low fat in a stage in his life and how it affected his health. Hi, Todd. Welcome. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Todd Bockness, host the Carnivore Cure, and I host meetings in Steak and Butter Gang with Bella here. But yes, and that's actually something that I went through. I've played around with fat to protein ratios a couple of times, but this last about 9-month run, I guess, roughly, has been more significant than others because you get a little complacent, and I wasn't watching what I was doing, and I was eating too many New York strip steaks. And I was surprised how lean New York strips actually are when you run the macros on them. And, you know, as everybody knows, we're not big on tracking at all, but understanding just kind of intuitively how much fat to protein is in steak, and you can be off by quite a bit, you know. And so just recently I upped it to 1.5-to-1 to do some healing on some inflammation I had from oxalate dumping, and it did amazingly. So that really got me playing around with it, and I was really trying to get to 2-to-1 fat to protein. Me personally, I was having a heck of a time getting 2-to-1 fat to protein in and still hitting my protein macros, because I do try to hit 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass that I desire. And so I was having a hard time until I started making pemmican, and that has been the ticket for me because it's a really easy way to condense it down. And so I've been making pemmican bars, and I've been able to easily get 200 grams of protein a day and 400 grams of fat a day, and that has made the world of difference to me. My mind's working a lot better. I'm losing a lot leaning out a lot again, and my energy's been through the roof. So, it's very healing. And so I do try to hit that 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio and try to maintain 200 grams or about a gram per pound of lean body mass desired.
Fantastic. I'm curious because since you are a man, right? Usually this higher fat approach is talked about among women as it being very beneficial for our hormones. What benefits have you felt being a man and going this high fat?
Oh, so like I'm sleeping so much better on this high fat. That was first thing I noticed. Way deeper REM sleep, staying asleep longer. Also, I don't know why, but I'm not peeing at night anymore. When I have high fat, I don't pee at night. Where when I have lean meat, for some reason, I have that 3 o'clock in the morning pee every night. And so that started happening. Also, the more fat that I eat, the less fluid that I retain. I noticed that. And then, my hormones are, I'm just putting on a lot more muscle too. I'm leaning out. Like I see more. It really is the trick to getting, muscle definition seems to be the fat at it, which seems so weird. And I still even hear some of the really big carnivore names saying to lean out your protein to get, ripped. But it's the exact opposite for me. The more fat that I eat, the more muscle I put on. It's really crazy.
That's so awesome. That's what I feel too as a woman. I think it must be something to do with resetting our hormones, making it perform and function optimally. It's really doing something to our metabolism, just everything. So thank you for sharing that. Let me bring on my next guest now. We've got Dr. Phil Smith, retired MD. Welcome. Introduce yourself.
Well, hi. I live in Tampa, Florida. I've been carnivore for almost 2 years. And I'm going to be the contrarian here. So I don't really measure how much fat I eat. In fact, I haven't done my ratios for a long time. I use the method that if I all of a sudden go through a phase where I'm having a lot of hunger, I know that I'm not getting enough fat and I increase my fat. And because I know Bella, it's always butter I turn to. I just love eating butter. I don't eat it in sticks like she does, and certainly don't clean out the dairy case like she does. But there have been days I've probably eaten 2 sticks of butter, but like 1 tablespoon at a time. So I've never picked up a stick of butter and ate it like you do. But it gives me satiety. It calms me. I agree with Todd. It does help you sleep better. So I don't really worry about the ratio. I just go with what my body's telling me.
Bravo. I love that. Love your angle. And finally, let me bring on the beautiful Limitless Lindy. Welcome, Lindy. Introduce yourself, share your experience.
Hi, Lindy here from Australia, and I've lost over 500 pounds doing the carnivore diet with SBG. And in regards to fat, I'm a little bit different again. I don't track my fat and protein ratios because I have no idea. I look at a piece of steak, I have no idea how much fat is in that, and the math does my head in, so I don't really worry about that. I also don't have a gallbladder, so that's how I measure. If I'm on the toilet, I've had too much fat, so I have to dial it back a little bit. So it just really goes by how my body's feeling. And some days I just crave the fat, so I want to have it. And other days I don't. So then I just pull back on the days. So over time, I've been carnivore 3 years. I've just basically learned to listen to my body, and it's telling me when I need to have the fat and when I don't. And with the lap band that I've got, I do find it's difficult to get a lot of food in, and I turn to I like to drink my calories. So like an egg coolada, very fatty, it's made with egg yolks, tallow and butter, some water, and I blend it all up and I drink that, and that's how I get a lot of my fat in, and it doesn't seem to affect my bowels too much, and it's a really good way for me to get my fat in because if I don't have it, I lose my hair. So being malnourished, but bad. So yeah.
Great points. Great points. So this is our panel tonight. Take advantage of all of these brilliant minds and submit your questions now. We will be taking questions. How do you submit your questions? Capital Q. Multiple capital Qs are great too. And then go ahead and type your question. We will start with Susie. Can you please discuss what it means to go wild? I've heard this mentioned a few times in the priming and fasting meetings. Thank you. Why don't you take this, Phil?
Yeah, I guess the right phrase is into the wild, but I like to call it going wild. In the steak and butter game, we put you through a 90-day challenge which gives you a month of what we call priming, which is really nourishment phase, and then 2 months of feasting and fasting and trying different styles. And that was very important for me to go through all 90 days of that, to prime and to learn all the techniques that Coach Raymond teaches in level 2 and level 3. And then at some point, I repeated level 1, level 2, level 3, repeated level 2, level 3. And then eventually there's some months that you just go off schedule, you don't follow a calendar, and you eat whatever nature tells you you want to eat. And really, once you get your metabolism turned around and you know what you're doing, you can pretty much judge when to eat, how much to eat in a day. And that's what we call going into the wild, which is basically being off a calendar and just paying attention to your body cues and doing it ad lib based on how you feel each day.
Exactly. So when we say go in the wild in the steak and butter gang specifically, and Susie's a member, we are very much structured in there in the sense that Coach Raymond likes to give out weekly calendars for our new members to actually follow day by day. So when Raymond says, okay, you're ready to go in the wild, he means you can trust your body now. You can eat what your body is telling you, and you can actually trust those signals. It takes some time, but a lot of our members do eventually get to that sweet spot. And I just wanted to share for anyone who is new to the carnivore community and you landed on our live stream tonight, if you're looking for support, a community, a place to get guidance, this 90-day transformation challenge did kick off 3 days ago exactly, but you can catch up if you're really interested in the guidance and in joining the 90-day commitment with all of us. The link is in the description box if you want to click it, or a clickable link. Okay, thank you. Julie, welcome. Thank you so much. Hi, Bella. What is your thoughts on long water fasts? I personally do not do long water fasts at the moment, not anymore. I would say maybe 2-3 years ago, I had a whole phase where I was so passionate and obsessed with rolling 48s. And rolling 48s are 48-hour fasts back to back. For typically, I would do 3 in a row and then take a break. 3 in a row, take a break. The issue with long water fasts, and I see that you're a young woman, if you're menstruating, you are at risk at damaging your hormones, even a little bit. And I'm at a spot where I don't want to stress out my hormones, not even a little bit, because I'm already doing things that are good stressors. I'm already working out. I'm already staying productive. I'm already, getting in my walks. Like, these are all good stressors, but at the end of the day, a stress. I don't need that extra layer of fasting for me personally right now. And I challenge all of you women watching, wanting to do long water fasts specifically for weight loss, to first ask yourself, are you truly properly nourished? Do you have sugar cravings right now? Ever? Because if you do, you should be nourishing first before even thinking about long water fasts. Todd, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do long fast, but it depends on why you're doing them. I know exactly why I'm doing them, and it's not for weight loss at all. It's because the most stubborn thing that I fight healing is lymphedema, with a lot of impacted tissue on my legs. That my calves were both around 36 inches in diameter just 31 months ago, and the only thing that really eats that away in any significant amount of time is, for me, is long fasting from autophagy. But it's a dangerous thing that you play with, because you can absolutely tank your metabolism. I've done that several times doing long fasts last year. And also, you do lose weight, but the weight that you lose, a lot of it you'll gain back, which I knew that was happening. I was used to that roller coaster. But what's really dangerous about it is, if you're doing long fasts, is knowing how to spot if you're hurting your metabolism, because I think you're always hurting it a little bit. but it can really get out of hand. Like I did that last year. I did let's see, what was it, 12? I think on the 12th one is when my metabolism crashed, but 12 7-day fasts last year. I would eat for 7 days and then fast for 7 days. And on the 12th one, I think my metabolism, it took me 5 months to get it back. You know, like it was a fight of repriming to get it back. And so I wouldn't do long fasts if it wasn't that I had something very specific, difficult to heal. So I do think it's healing, but other than that, I think you can do every bit as good by priming, healing your metabolism, your hormones, eating high fat, and doing smaller fasts consistently. I think that's a better way to go for weight loss.
So good. Great thoughts. Now, Julie, since you look like you're in your 20s, I would not do any less than OMAD. Okay. I see that you want to consider long water fasts. Don't do any longer fasting than 1 meal a day. I want you to focus on nourishing and truly going to 1 meal a day when you're literally not hungry. No sugar cravings, no appetite to eat because you nourish that well. So keep me posted. I wish you the best.
Bella, I want to add, someone just asked, what is a water fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's basically not eating anything or drinking anything other than water for a period of time. And typically, a fast is 24 hours or beyond, but we have this term called intermittent fasting, which is really a term for periodic nourishing periods of restricted feeding where we're eating for a set period of time. So an OMAD would typically be, OMAD means 1 meal a day. So if you're going to eat 1 hour a day, you're going to be not eating 23 hours a day, but you're allowed to have water during that time. So that would be an OMAD with a water fast. So I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. Thank you. Moving on, we've got Austin. Welcome. What is my fat to protein ratio? What is recommended? Yeah, great question though. There is no one perfect fat to protein ratio. And as annoying as that is to hear, it's just the truth because there's no one type of body. There is no one history of eating for each person. I was vegan. Todd was low fat. Phil was blah, blah, blah. Like we're all different histories here. So you have to take that into account when coming down to what is the right ratio for you. What I do recommend though, and Austin, I don't know if you're female or male, 1-to-1 is a fantastic start. If you're new to carnivore, try your best to do 1-to-1, and please try to eat enough protein because a lot of people, when they start carnivore, you don't have to track. Okay. We're not really big fans of tracking and whipping out the apps and all of that and the food scales. But if you can just eyeball, do we know how many grams of protein are in 1 pound of ground beef, 80-20 ground beef? Do we know off the top of our heads?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could look it up though.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Yeah, let me. Who can tell us in the chat, please? Because I eat 3 pounds. So let's see. How much? Okay, so 1 pound is 65 grams of protein. Sounds about right. So if you're only eating 1 pound of ground beef a day, that's 65 grams of protein-ish per day. That's not enough protein for any adult. Okay, so try to aim for 2 pounds of beef or 2 pounds of meat per day to get in sufficient protein if you really want to make sure that you're eating enough and getting to the right track. I'm 5'10". I eat 3 pounds of meat a day, typically, sometimes 2.5 pounds, sometimes 4 pounds, but it's usually average 3 pounds of meat. So that means I'm having 180 grams of protein a day. Do I need 180 grams of protein? Most bodybuilding coaches will be like, that's way too much protein. That's way beyond your ideal amount of protein. But at the end of the day, what you're craving and what your body asks for is going to trump all ratios, all ideal ratios. And I think that's the biggest takeaway in tonight's conversation. You have to experiment. You have to be writing down how's your energy, how's your sleep. You do have to be meticulous if you're passionate about finding the right ratio for you, if that even matters to you. Okay, hope that helps. Paula, I'm on the carnivore diet and I'm experiencing diverticulitis pain. I had flare-ups in the past. Should I continue with priming or go clear liquid diet? I have a CT scan set for tomorrow. Would you mind, Phil?
Well, yeah, first off, Paola, if you have a CT scan, you probably have already been told by the radiology department that you have to be on a clear liquid diet because they give you a contrast dye in your bowel when you do that. So you need to follow what the recommendation is for the test, whatever your doctors have told you to do. Diverticulitis is something that Coach Raymond actually had, and the reason that he started the carnivore diet, and he has totally reversed that. But for people who've had recurrent bouts of diverticulitis, which is an inflammatory process of the bowel with a pathologic pocketing of the colon, and those pockets get infected, that's a tough disease to heal up when you're trying to eat through it, because often the doctors will put you on what we call GI rest or have you not eat anything during a flare-up. But the idea of eating carnivore to reduce the inflammation in your body, that is really what you need long-term, but it's really hard when you're still having bouts of diverticulitis. So I really feel for you. Work with your doctors, get you through this episode, and when you're ready to start eating again, go back to priming because you really need it. But I think the clear liquid diet is probably what they have to have you on today for a CT scan of the abdomen tomorrow.
Thank you, Phil. Hi, Michael. Thank you so much. Michael says, I am OMAD 1 meal a day right now, and I've hit a stall on weight loss. Is this too much fat in my meals? I'll start and then I'll have the gentleman chime in. So instead of thinking about, are you eating too much fat? I would actually like you to focus on the OMAD part, your frequency of eating right now, Michael, because in SBG and within this team, our go-to when breaking stalls is actually eating more, not eating less, and not fasting harder. What are your thoughts, Phil?
I agree totally. That's one of the biggest problems I see in carnivores are people going into these prolonged OMAD stretches, and they basically, their metabolism tanks. You just lower your basal metabolic rate progressively because the body thinks you're starving. And what does the body do? It starts changing your hormones to preserve your life. And you go into a very, very low metabolic rate. And when you start eating a ketogenic diet and even doing ketogenic or do 2 meals a day and start feeding yourself more regularly and trying to get yourself up to adequate intake, which is about 1 gram of protein a day and 1 to 2 grams of fat a day, that creates a very interesting effect in your adipose tissue, where your adipose tissue starts to generate heat and actually helps you to start burn calories, as well as starts mobilizing glucagon, lowering your insulin levels, and stimulates a hormone called adipopectin, which helps you to start breaking down fat. So you have probably down-regulated your hormones. You're in a metabolic stall, and you definitely, in my opinion, should start eating more and get your metabolism back up, because I had exactly that problem, and that's why I came to SBG, and priming was the answer for me, and a month of priming got me out of that stall.
Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny, but OMADs are like the sneaky little thief in carnivore because they do sneak in so easy, because we all came from a place where, one, we had the restriction mindset beat into us, but also we got really comfortable at restricting, and we kind of built that muscle of restricting, and we were restricting against a really tough opponent of hyperpalatable addictive foods when we're on the standard American diet. You go on carnivore, you start getting some leptin sensitivity, you get really satiated, and it's really easy to go into these OMADs, and you're still dragging that restricted part of you into carnivore. But it's the exact opposite from what we should be doing. What we should be doing is trying to heal our, metabolic disease and our slow metabolism, and then letting our body, heal up and become efficient. And that's why it's we hear it over and over and over again. And I was one of those guys, and I totally understand this mindset. But when you're a big person, you're trying to tell everybody, look, I don't eat that much, and I fast and restrict all the time. I don't know why I'm this size. You kind of wear it like it's a badge of honor that you can go for long periods of times without eating or not eating very much. But it's the exact thing that keeps us here. And it's sad that in the sad diet world, that's the narrative that's pushed. But that is one of the biggest things that's holding us all back, is just nourishing the body, getting healthy. And that's what SBG does so well. When I went there, had done 9 months of OMADs, was stalled out bigger than heck, and it was eating 7 pounds of meat a day for 6 months that got me to a 335-pound weight loss. It wasn't restricting.
Bravo. Who's in SBG watching our live stream tonight? Let me know in the chat. Michael, if you're not in SBG in the community yet, the URL is on the screen right now, and you can also check out the description. We would love to welcome you in and help you troubleshoot. Let's keep going. Hi, Gunther. Thank you so much. I'd like to go into the wild. I just completed 1 full year strict lion diet with a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio in grams. Firstly, that is very, very impressive. I would love to know how you did 2-to-1 on lion. Please share. I've gained over 12 pounds, mostly fat. Will be lowering my fat to protein ratio to make my body, will lowering it make my body burn off that fat? Do we know if Gunther's a guy or a gal?
I believe Gunther's a guy.
Why don't you go first, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, one, I would love to know how you know that it's fat. Like, I really would love to know how you know that it's fat for sure. Because I'm just not convinced, first of all, because you're talking to a guy that's eating, 7.5 pounds of fatty meat a day and did nothing but get lean on that, watch fat burn off. So I don't even understand how you burnt fat, because fat doesn't make you fat. And even if you're overeating a bunch of protein, which you're not, even gluconeogenesis is like a really expensive process to turn into fat. It's only like 1/3 of it you could even turn into fat or something like that. So I don't know how you would get that fat, but it's way more likely that that's muscle and bone. And I don't know. I would just be surprised if that's fat. But if it is, I don't think that cutting down the fat's the answer. I don't know. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't think that that's going to be the secret sauce. It's been exactly opposite for me. Every time I'm holding on to weight, it's been because it's been too lean, not too much fat. But I don't know. Phil, what do you think? Does that make any sense?
Well, the only thing I would be asking, is there an insulin problem involved? Are you diabetic? Are you on insulin? Are you taking a drug that could be making you insulin resistant? Gunther, you're a regular here. We always appreciate you asking questions every week. And I'd love to know a little bit more about you, if there's anything that has to heal that may be holding you up, because sometimes we can find some specific things that you can tweak to help. But I am also a little suspicious about someone doing lion at a 2-to-1 ratio. So I just like to know more information. I don't have a definitive answer for you, but I'm very, very curious. And if you're in the community, reach out to me in the community, because I'd love to hear more about your story.
For sure.
Yeah. Or follow up. Let me just put this up here because Gunther followed up here. So the way he did 2-to-1 online is by adding 100% grass-fed beef fat trimmings. Amazing.
Oh, okay.
We love that. Very, very
That's
good.
a lot of effort, but that's great. That's great. So
Yeah.
thanks for adding that. Any insulin resistance Gunter, just put that in there. We'll come back to you when we see it.
Yes, please. Hi, little kangaroo. Thank you so much. I'm 50 years old, 50 years old, premenopause, trying to go into the carnivore diet, but I've noticed my ankles are swallowed, maybe swollen.
Swallowed.
Okay, swollen. Just starting the diet. What could it be? Lindy, did you want to chime in? Sorry to put you on the spot. Swollen ankles.
Well, I have lymphedema, so that's why I had swollen ankles. And Carnivore actually over time has fixed that just by taking out a lot of the carbs and other things out of my diet. It has really improved that swelling. Also, rebounding and a vibration plate help with swelling, just getting that circulation moving around, and that's been a game changer for me as well. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know, did Carnivore cause the swelling, or did you have it before? Probably.
I had this happen too when I first started Carnivore, and I too have lymphedema, and it got worse when I first started Carnivore, but I think it was electrolyte problem. I really do. I can't remember if I was taking too much electrolytes or not enough at first, but I think by changing my diet, I wasn't getting enough electrolytes at first, and I think I was holding on to sodium or something silly. And it was short-lived. When you first get to that first spot where your body starts releasing the water and releasing the inflammation, all that came out, and it was about 6 to 8 weeks into Carnivore, and then I would still have periods of stress or cortisol or just things that would just have me a little bit stressed out on Carnivore, not feeling good, and I'd immediately get the fluid back, and that was something that went up and down for like 12 months, but the up wouldn't be so high, the peak up wouldn't be as high, and the decline would always be a better result, and I've consistently watched that fluid and swelling go down to almost nothing now. It just takes time. So I don't know. That's what I can experience with it.
I'll just add that dairy sometimes gives me inflammation in my legs as well. So if I have dairy, I'm guaranteed the next day, within hours, that fluid builds up. So that's why I have to moderate my dairy.
So I would approach this a little different. I'm assuming that metabolically she is healthy, that because she's 50 years old and still premenopausal. And so when you have new swelling in the lower extremities, you really want to determine, is it venous or lymphatic swelling? And the way you do that is you elevate your legs overnight above the level of your heart. And if the legs go down completely normal in the morning, then that's due to inflammation in your varicose veins. If it's, and that will go away very, very quickly, probably in 6 to 8 weeks of Carnivore. If it doesn't go down overnight, it's probably indicating some lymphostasis, lymphostasis, which is basically sluggishness of your lymphatics. And it may be that you're have upped your fat and had some difficulty moving that fat through your lymphatic tissue, again, due to inflammation. And that really doesn't go down with swelling. That's where things like the rebounding and the shake plates really help. And again, getting yourself healthy with time on the carnivore way of eating. So either one of those conditions, it's not that important that you determine which one it is. It's more of a curiosity, but likely both of them will go away in a couple months or so by getting inflammation out of your body.
Perfect. Thank you, team. Miami Sammy, welcome and thank you. I saw this question in the chat and I had the same concern. What if you have a tendency to binge? Can you overeat on Carnivore? I eat when I'm not really hungry sometimes. We love this topic. So I personally, with my own experience, binging all the time on a vegan diet, where to the point I would be eating a whole entire pot of steamed rice, multiple sweet potatoes baked, lots of raw fruit and raw salad, and it just never felt like I was satiating myself. Try doing that on a carnivore diet. Try eating that much volume on a carnivore diet. You just can't, because if you're eating high fat or at least fatty meats, you just cannot overeat. What are your thoughts, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. It's crazy. I don't know what overeating or binging on carnivore would look like, at least consistently on a consistent basis. I don't know what that would look like, because the most I ever ate was in 3 days. I ate 9 pounds of meat 3 days in a row when I was making picanha, maybe, but it was very short lived, and all these little things were very, very short lived. And then everything healed up. So is that even overeating? I don't know. If it was necessary to heal my hormones and to make that go away, and to find, leptin sensitivity, I don't really feel like you can overeat. And what I can tell you now is, now that I'm eating 2-to-1 fat to protein, you couldn't put a gun to my head and make me overeat 2-to-1 fat to protein. It's taken all my willpower to get my 200 grams of protein in, with a 2-to-1 fat to protein, with every hack that I know to get that down, because it is so dang satiating. I don't know how you would do it. And maybe not everybody's that way, but man, I think if you're eating that much fat to protein and your body's still craving it, I feel like your body's got to need it, but I don't know.
I love that you said that. Let me add to that. I was able to eat 5 pounds of meat every day for the first few months of my carnivore diet journey. 5 pounds of meat a day, every day. This is not to say, well, you should be eating this much. I'm trying to say, if I had this fear, oh my gosh, I'm binging again, oh my gosh, carnivore is causing me to overeat, then I would not get the healing that I got so quickly. I would not have been able to bring back my period so quickly. And I would not be able to get the body recomposition and fat loss that I got down the line. I think, Miami Sammy, that you are hungry for this food, and you say you eat even when you're not really hungry. If you're eating carnivore foods, even when you don't truly feel like you're hungry, eat it. Because at least the food that you're eating is extremely nutrient dense. At least that food can actually help you heal, upregulate your metabolism, make you feel good. Don't binge on dairy. That's a totally different topic, right? Except for butter. Phil, what are your thoughts?
I think you've covered everything pretty well. I would agree that your body is probably requesting more fat. And if you are getting hungry all the time, you definitely need to up your fat, because fat will bring about satiety, and you can only eat so much of it. Your body will shut you down.
Right. Okay. Keep us posted though. And I'm really happy that you asked this type of question. Most people, they feel like it's not a necessary question, it's not important, or they feel even shame. This is the place to ask these types of questions. There's also no such thing as a silly or stupid question. Okay. So ask away. Sorry. Right. Let's put up the next question. No worries. Oh, we already did this one.
Okay, we did this one. Sorry.
This is good. All right, Maxie, thank you and welcome. Female, 9-month carnivore, after 50 years, vegetarian. 50 years? Oh my gosh. Vegetarian, vegan, wow. I'm sorry. Could frequent waves of oxalate dumping also affect my teeth? I have one that is hurting since some days. Thank you. You're awesome. Where's Sally K. Norton when you need her? I don't want to speak on this and claim that I know if it affects teeth. Oxalate dumping affected my skin and my eyes, in the sense that my skin flared up a little bit more. It was itchier before it got better, but it was very clear that I was dumping oxalates through my eyes because I could see the crystals coming out every single morning. Anyone want to tackle this?
I think the manifestation of this in the teeth would not be of the tooth itself, but of the periodontal tissue, causing inflammation and pain and bleeding. And normally in carnivores, we reverse periodontitis. I know I used to pay extra every year to my dentist for a periodontitis plan because I had to go every 3 months, and I had pockets up to 7 centimeters, and now my deepest pocket is 3 millimeters. 7 millimeters to 3 millimeters is pretty incredible, and that allows you to keep your teeth. So I can't imagine how much oxalate you must have in your body after 50 years of vegetarianism or veganism. So we usually recommend either lemon juice or tea to slow to give you a little bit of oxalate back into your body to slow the body getting rid of it rapidly. And it's basically chemistry. You're trying to slow diffusion by balancing out what's being secreted by giving some of it back to you. But you could be oxalate dumping for the rest of your life after 50 years.
Get Sally's book, Maxi, if you haven't already. I would really start with reading that. Good luck. Keep us posted. Yeah. Nilla, what are your thoughts on lipid toxicity?
Well, I probably need to take this one. This is a physiology question. So first off, what is lipid toxicity? So it's a condition where you start to deposit fat in a lot of the organs of your body. So I think most people have heard about a fatty liver, and a fatty liver is where your body gets overloaded with insulin and glucose, and you start depositing a lot of glycogen and fat into the liver instead of depositing it into your fat cells. Well, lipid toxicity is really when you have that overflow of fat and you start depositing in your kidneys and in your pancreas and in your heart and in your skeletal muscles. And if you ever watch videos by Dr. Sean O'Mara, who does a lot of CT scans of people's abdomens and muscles, you literally see muscles that are half fat, half muscle. And it's basically an abnormal metabolism. Some people don't have a theory for why it happens. I think it's a manifestation of insulin resistance and inflammation because insulin resistance does interfere and produces storage of fat everywhere. And it follows the pattern of insulin resistance and inflammation. And we know that insulin resistance and inflammation go hand in hand. You have one, you probably have the other, and one causes the other. So carnivore is a great way to tackle lipid toxicity because what you're doing is getting your insulin more sensitive so you don't have all this deposition of fat, and you're getting ketotic and then calling on your fat stores wherever they are in the body to dissolve. So the layperson might think, oh, eating fat's going to give me lipid toxicity, and eating the fat is not the problem. You could have lipid toxicity and eat very little fat, but your body will still find the fat to deposit. So it's just one of those things that's 180 degrees to what you think is true. And I would much more recommend someone with lipid toxicity be a carnivore than anything else. And second best would be a very, very low carbohydrate ketogenic diet for the very reasons that you want to get out of the insulin resistance.
Thank you, Phil. Did we? Oh, we didn't do this. Okay. Miami man. Wow. Thank you. I've been on carnivore for 6 weeks and had diverticulitis this week. Clear liquids the last 4 days. The doctor mentioned priming. Please explain priming. Lost 14 pounds in 6 weeks before diverticulitis. I'm guessing he's referring to you, Phil? You mentioned priming?
I mentioned that, long term, we want to get people with diverticulitis priming because we want to re-nourish them to get the inflammation out of the colon. But when they have a flare-up of diverticulitis, which tends to be recurrent, your doctor will put you on a clear liquid diet and do what we call GI rest, which is basically not putting as much stuff through the colon, so the colon has a chance to recover, just like not exercising a muscle that's been injured. So same idea. So get over the diverticulitis, and priming is the idea of eating 3 meals a day to full, and then a few more bites, and we call that comfortably stuffed. And you do that for 2 weeks or more. And what that does is re-nourishes your body, and it becomes a bit of a metabolic reset. And some people need it longer than others. And Bella, I think you went, 5 or 6 months of priming to heal some things?
Half a year. That's right. Yep.
So the idea is you're trying to re-nourish after a long period of depleting your body of the things that lead to inflammation in the first place. So we want to re-nourish. And it's really the foundation of the 90-day challenge we do in Steak and Butter Gang. And it's what we do for the first month when people join to help them form a good foundation to reset their metabolism and to get them on the road to recovery.
Thank you for that, Phil. I saw a comment before we do, Paula, about July 4th. I think we can take a little break from these questions and just shout out the awesome Carnivore meetup happening in less than 30 days now. It's crazy how close it is. Let's put it up on the screen so you guys can see the fantastic panel. Take a look at that panel. I'm so excited to have all of these brilliant minds in one place. And yes, we're having Dr. Phil there too. We couldn't fit his face on this. Sorry, Phil. We have Raymond. Yes, too big. We have so many members of the SBG team showing up to support and represent. There's going to be tons of carnivores here. So if you don't really care about these faces, totally get it. That's fine. And you just want to connect with carnivores, this is the event. Okay, Todd, what's happening here in Bozeman, Montana?
Absolutely. So you're in my hometown, and we're going to do one heck of a barbecue. It's going to be delicious. You're going to have some Rocky Mountain beef and elk and bison, and we're going to do just a giant backyard barbecue with a huge fireworks display. We do those every 4th of July, and so we're going to celebrate Independence Day together. There's going to be a ton of people there. It's going to be great to meet the community. And then the next day we have a Q&A with all the presenters here and a little presentation. And then there's also, even that night on the 5th, there's a VIP dinner that we're capping at 50 people that's just about sold out. You can have more intimate time with all the doctors if that's what you're looking for. So it's going to be fantastic. Can't wait to see you all there. I'm very excited.
Me too. It's going to be a great moment to make even more connections. So SBG, SB as in boy, G dot events. Just type that in your URL or your browser, hit enter, and you can go ahead and book your tickets and read more on what is included. See you guys July 4th. Let me know if you already got your tickets that you'll show up. I would love to know in the comments and in the chat. Perfect. Let's keep going.
All right.
Okay, no gallbladder. How can I eat the high fats? I'll take this real quick. If you don't have a gallbladder, smaller meals throughout the day, eat cold solid fats, and stay away from melted, hot, liquid rendered fats. Okay, let's keep going. Welcome, Jeff. I've been carnivore for 14 months. Last year, my hay fever went away. Suddenly, it's back. I did have a small amount of sour cream. Could this have caused it? I don't know anything about hay fever.
That's just an allergy.
Is it just like?
It?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's just an allergy. Nasal allergy. Nasal allergy.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, if that's
yeah. If you're asking me, like when I've had dairy, it for sure inflames me, and then I have some sort of I don't know. It's like an immune response to when I have dairy or something, and then it seems to be triggered by a lot of things for a little while until it gets out of my system. But so maybe, I don't know. What do you think, Phil?
Well, I think the other thing is we have a pollen season down here in Florida, which is live oak season. So usually up north, it's goldenrod and things like that. Down in Florida, it's we have a pine pollen season and we have a live oak pollen season. And the interesting thing is, it's difficult sometimes to tell if you're having an allergic reaction or if there's enough pollen load that you're having an inflammatory reaction just because of the amount of pollen in a year. And if you look at ragweed or goldenrod, which are the two most common northern allergies, they look like little sand spurs, microscopic spurs, and they get up in your nose. And they can cause inflammation without it being allergic. It's just purely irritant. So the way I usually tell people to do it is use a saltwater nasal rinse and rinse your nose every hour while awake for 3 days when you're having symptoms. And if it's irritant, it will likely go away. If it's allergic, you'll have other allergic symptoms like swollen eyes, and the saline spray won't really help much. So that's how I do. I doubt if a small amount of sour cream would be the culprit. It could be, though, because dairy is a common culprit. But I have a feeling you're just having a more abundant pollen load this year. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Perfect. A question for everyone to answer. Has your allergies, if you started with allergies, have they improved after going carnivore? Any improvements? Have they gone away? Share your experiences, please. My dog allergies completely went away after going carnivore. Life-changing. Lisa, any advice for someone who has no large intestines or gallbladder? Everything goes right through me. Again, smaller meals throughout the day, cold fats, ease your way into upping the fats, but take it easy, please. Jeff, I like sauerkraut with my 100% all beef dogs from Costco. Think there's any issue adding that in? I realize there's some carbs, but it's also good for the gut. I've never played around with sauerkraut. I've never played around with fermented vegetables. I do play around with fermented animal foods. And this is something that I've always loved eating, and like kefir, yogurt, cheeses have made a really great difference in my energy and in the way that I work out. So consider, Jeff, fermented dairy, raw dairy, if you can get it. What are your thoughts, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I've had kimchi, I've had sauerkraut and stuff early on. I think first and foremost, you gotta get like super clean BBB&E for like at least 90 days, if not, 180 days. And then you're going to have a better baseline where you can add things back in one at a time and see what they actually do to you. What I do notice is that, they don't seem to bother me, but like black pepper and certain things do. And I know that because of going through and eliminating everything and adding them back in one at a time. I don't have a reaction to sauerkraut, but I also don't need it. I do crave vinegar sometimes, and I'll have vinegar, which seems to help break down the fat for me. But for the most part, I use it just as a condiment or a treat on rare occasions because I'm kind of over that period where I don't need a bunch of hyper palatable flavors anymore. I can just, I really just enjoy the meat. I don't even salt things anymore. As you go on, you don't seem to need those things.
I love that. Very true. eShop girl, welcome. For an athlete preteen, may I assume they need more fat than adults? My preteen has been eating tons of animal fat, bacon, pork belly, butter bites, beef, chicken, and pork, sardines 3 times a day. Wow, that's awesome. Your preteen is doing great. I think we all here encourage that. Phil, what are your thoughts for preteen?
Well, I think women in general need more fat than men do. And this will help give her a good developmental fuel, the substrate needed to make good hormones, especially the steroid type of hormones like your estrogen, progesterone, and the testosterone that you need to make the estrogen. And I really encourage it. It's very, very good for the energy, and doing it preteen. We look at Bella, she's 5'10". I think a lot of young ladies have stunted growth because they're not getting adequate nutrition in the pre-teen years. And you really need to get optimal nutrition when you're going through those growth spurt ages before your growth plates close. So compliment your daughter, eShop girl. So
yeah, so good. Love that. Jeff, every ribeye has a different ratio, meat to fat. How do we figure that out? It's not that deep, Jeff. It's not that important. Doesn't matter. Just do any standard ribeye if you even care to know the ratio, and you're good to go. Tammy, what exactly is high-fat carnivore? How much fat is the goal? Watch the beginning, Tammy. Francesco, do you drink coffee and do you put butter in it? Ooh, I have my coffee right here. Okay. Have a little bit. Today I had a lot because I woke up at 4 a.m. to fly from LA to Seattle, which is where I'm at right now. So I needed it today, but typically I will have way less than what I had today. But guess what? I still ate something before I had my coffee. This is something that I do every single day. No way would I ever give it away anymore because it's made that big of a difference in my daily routine and how I feel. So I drink coffee and I drink it black. Let's go around the room. Phil, coffee? Yes or no?
Yes, I drink it black, but occasionally I will put butter in it if I feel like I have one of those fat craving days.
Lindy, do you drink coffee?
Oh, you're muted.
Oops, sorry, you're muted.
I do have one a day, and sometimes I put butter in it if I feel like it, and other times just straight black.
Love it. Todd?
Yeah, I tried bringing coffee back about when I was going through this back pain because I wasn't sleeping. I tried bringing it back, but it just made me cranky. So I had to quit again. It was making me cranky in the afternoon. Yeah. So no.
Good for you. Good for you. Let me know, guys. Do you drink coffee? Put it in the chat and the comments. Melissa, welcome. Are these live meets weekly? Same time? I'm new. Welcome. We are so happy you're here. And yes, it is every single week at the same time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I get it. The time zones are confusing. So 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. What time Mountain time is that? 6:30, right?
Yeah, 6:30. Yep.
7:30 Central.
7:30 Central. Exactly. And if you're international, you can Google and convert that. Put it in your calendar. We do it every week, same time.
All right. I'm looking for a question with this.
Hi, Sharon. Sharon Drake, if you are in the chat or watching still, please comment your question. We'd love to help. We'll circle back.
Going back.
Great. David how do you pronounce that? Montague?
Probably Montague.
Montague. Okay, cool. What advice would you give a type 1 LADA person who has no gallbladder and had gastric sleeve surgery in November 2018? I've battled with weight and blood sugars going up and down. Phil.
So you really need to use frequent small feedings. And I think Lindy probably has the closest experience having had a lap band and learned how to prime. So how did you do it, Lindy?
Yeah, that's basically eating a lot of small meals throughout the day. It could be like a couple of bites every hour just to get the food into me. So it's gentle. And then having the egg coulators, which I mentioned earlier, that gets a lot of sort of nourishment in because we then tend to undereat because of the physical restriction, and also meat is very satiating. So when you do get it in, you fill up very quickly, but you still need to get that nourishment in. So having things like slow cooked beef In a slow cooker, I put a lot of water in to give it a big amount of broth. It just helps get that nourishment in you as well. Eggs, buttery eggs is another good one. I do like sardines with the extra butter, or I put tallow in that, and that goes down very easily as well. But just need to concentrate on those softer foods to get things in.
Yeah, and it's really difficult when you're a type 1 diabetic. You really, ultimately, we'd like to get you a little metabolically healthy, but you've got to prime first in order to get to the point where you can get a more ketogenic and start doing some very safe fasting, which is a little more of a challenge when you have type 1 diabetes, because but you have type 1 diabetes because you have an autoimmune disease. So it's important that you start with frequent small meals, like Lindy said, and be persistent. It might take you longer to prime. It might take you a month or two, but what you'll be looking for is kind of a less fluctuation in your blood sugars, and starting to feel hunger and satiety. And from there, the next step is doing some intermittent fasting, which I talked about earlier. But you can do this. You can do this, and it will help all these different components you're dealing with. I mean, it sounds like, you've got type 1 diabetes, you've had your gallbladder out, you've had a gastric sleeve, you obviously have morbid obesity, and taking the insulin, having to take insulin just makes it even more difficult. So you've got some real challenges to overcome, and we'd love to see you in the community so we could work with you.
I mentioned my daughter has type 1 diabetes as well, and she started Carnivore last year. She had crazy high glucose levels for 35 years. That, listen to the doctors, they're like, balanced diet, you're doing everything wrong. And it wasn't until she started Carnivore that her levels actually stabilized. She's now starting to introduce a few little vegetables and doing a more keto approach, and she can now tell which vegetables impact her levels. So just by going strict carnivore for a certain time, she was able to manage things, and now she's just starting to reintroduce a few things, and just seeing what the vegetables do to her levels. She's learning so much more about her body now, and she's thriving on carnivore. And I just wish we had found this many years ago. It would have avoided a lot of complications that she's got now from 35 years of doing what she was told to do. But she's got a lot of support from the doctors now, so it's been great. So I highly recommend doing Carnivore as a base.
Thank you, Lindy. So happy for Catherine. Now, we should wrap up. We are now over 60 minutes, and Phil is going to be angry soon. So now, do we have Sharon's question? Because she did give us a sticker, and I don't want to miss it.
I know, I'm still looking, but no, she hasn't put it in yet.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, Sharon.
Why don't we answer this? Are we going to answer Wendy?
Go ahead. Okay. Well, let me read it. How do you know when you should eat fat if you're just starting out, Phil?
Yes, you always need to eat fat. So most Americans are not eating enough fat. So the whole purpose of carnivore, and I love what Dr. Robert Kilt says, carnivore should be called, what's he called? Fativore. Because we predominantly eat more fat than we eat protein. And everyone thinks that carnivore is a high protein diet. It's not a high protein diet. It's a high fat, adequate protein diet. And so just start eating fatty meats 3 times a day. It's a great place to start. Today I made a power bowl, and unlike, Bella always talks about all the people that can't eat rendered fat, but I browned over a half pound of hamburger, threw in 3 bacon strips, 6 eggs, and some butter, and didn't drain
Perfect.
anything. Just put it all together, all that liquid fat and everything, and ate that for my
Yeah.
breakfast. And it doesn't cause me any problem to eat that rendered fat. But
Good.
some people just can't do that. But
Right.
don't limit your fat.
Yeah,
Rule number
exactly.
1, don't limit your fat.
But also work your way up slowly for sure. And then here's another angle that I'll wrap up with. If I were to eat 1 stick of butter a day, and these days leading up to my period, I'll be eating at least a stick of butter, I would not be able to absorb and digest that whole stick of butter if I ate it melted as a dipping sauce versus if I ate that whole stick of butter cold. So it all comes down to how much your body's able to take in, tolerate, and actually digest and absorb. Every person is going to be different along their journey as well. So if you're 1 year, you may be able to digest more rendered melted fats 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line. So just keep tabs. If you really want to be super high fat carnivore, do try to eat it cold, raw, and solid. It's easier to get it in. All right, those are our best tips. All of the questions we can take tonight. Let me put this up again for those who missed it. In less than 30 days now, in 28 days, July 4th to July 5th in Bozeman, Montana, Todd's hometown here, we're going to have an amazing carnivore meetup, and we would love to see you there. Please just go to sbg.events or check out the description box. You do have to open it by tapping it and go to the link linked down below in the description box. Thank you guys so much. Yep, we can't wait to see you, and we'll see you next week. Bye,
See y'all
guys.
next week.
Take care.
Bye, guys.